Kings Island opens on April 20th, which means we have a month, which means today we are talking about how to plan your Kings Island trip. I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited. Come along with me for all the details. Let's go. Now, hello, cool people. How y'all doing? I did already do a video about Kings Island last year that was in even more detail than this video is going to be. If you want to go check that out, please go check that one out. That will be a great companion piece to this. And in that video also, I talk about what order you should do each of the rides, things like that. It gives you a little bit more of an idea of what I think is possible at Kings Island. So please go check that one out also. This is going to be a little bit lighter, more of a 101 video. I also did make a video last year, 2 years ago, I think, actually. Would have been 2 years ago, yeah. Where I was walking around Kings Island and showing you every single part of Kings Island, while also I had a map up in the corner that showed you where I was in the park. So you can get kind of a first-person POV, but then also so that you can know where in the park you actually are from a bird's eye view. So if that would be helpful for you, also, if you're planning your trip, please go check that one out also. I'll leave links down below and you can go check those videos out as they would be helpful to you. Now, today we are talking the who, where, what, when, and why of Kings Island. Not necessarily in that order, though. So, let's get into this. Let's go. Woo! I didn't think it was shaking. Did I just do that? Did I do that? There's none on the floor, so we're fine. I have a spot on my pants, that's all. We're good. First of all, where is Kings Island? Kings Island exists in a little town, but also kind of a larger suburb called Mason, Ohio. It's a larger suburb of Cincinnati. It kind of exists on the north side of Cincinnati, between Cincinnati and Dayton, but closer to Cincinnati, definitely. It is a very nice area, and actually the city right around it's really cool too. It's worthwhile to kind of go exploring around the area also. Plus they also have Great Wolf Lodge, and they have lots of hotels all around that you can stay in right there. With that also, I will say that hotels near Mason / near Kings Island are much cheaper hotels. Even the hotels that are right there that advertise that they're close to Kings Island, they are not feeding only off of Kings Island. They're feeding off of the entire city that surrounds them. And they are able to charge a little bit less for hotels while you're there. So that's definitely a cool part about it also. So because of that, you can find some cheaper rates, you can find some great hotels, and you don't pay $100 for a really, really crappy hotel like you do in Sandusky. So around Sandusky and around Cedar Point, there's a lot fewer hotels. Although you have a lot of hotels still, it's just they're not as great hotels. They're more mom and pop hotels, stuff like that. Here you're gonna have a lot more chains, and the quality is going to be much nicer because they're operating on so much more, and there's a lot more competition for them to go against. So if you can't find a really good rate right next to Kings Island, you can go down the road 5 minutes and you'll find another hotel. So it's a lot easier to find a pretty decent rate on a hotel throughout the year at Kings Island. How to get there. Kings Island exists right between two major highways because it's in Cincinnati or in the outskirts of Cincinnati. So 75 and 71 both kind of converge very, very close to where Mason is. So if you are going down either one of those roads, you're pretty close to it. If you are going down 71, you'll literally go right in front of it. Coming from 75, like I come from, I always come from 75, coming from Indiana, I generally have to get off and then go down a couple of additional side roads. I wouldn't even really call them side roads, just not highways, that will take me down to Mason. So it's pretty easy one way or another. Also from Cincinnati itself, you have the entire 275 loop that goes around Cincinnati. So that's also a really easy way to be able to get there if you are coming from pretty much any southerly direction. You can hop onto 275 and get there from there. How much it costs. Kings Island, along with all of Cedar Fair parks, are really pushing the idea of passes. So you have the Silver Pass, you have the Gold Pass, and you have the Prestige Pass that you can use at Kings Island along with every other spot. But of course, daily tickets are a little bit less. The very first thing you're gonna look up if you look up prices is that pass. But you can get daily tickets. Daily tickets start at $44.99. There are a couple different bundles that you can get also. And if you have a pass, you can usually get bring a friend tickets that go with that for $34.99 to bring somebody in on that day. I believe even if you bring someone too, and they pay that less cost for it, they can take that money and they can leverage it into buying a gold or silver or whatever pass that they would like for that year also, if they would like to do that. So that's another cool thing to be able to do if you want to spread the news about Kings Island and Cedar Point and all these things. If you are looking for the best deal that you can get though, you're really looking at the Gold Pass or at the Silver Pass for you to be able to get. The Silver Pass is a summer only pass. The Gold Pass is all year long, but it comes with fewer frills, but does let you into the park as many times throughout the year as you would like to come. Again, Silver Pass does not. Silver Pass also, I believe, would not include any kind of water park access for you at Kings Island, where if you have the Gold Pass, you can get into their water park for free. And then, of course, the Prestige Pass comes with a few special things that come along with that, a few special perks, some additional discounts, I believe 2 free tickets with to bring another friend, and then also some preferred parking. There are also tents inside of Kings Island where you can kind of hang out. They have cold water there for you, and bigger cups for you to be able to get. So you can, that's just kind of your area. And then also they have chips there for Prestige Pass holders to be able to have. So those perks come along with that. Now, with any of those, you have to buy an all park passport to be able to go to all of the parks. So if you want to take your Gold Pass and you want to go to Cedar Point, if you bought a Kings Island Gold Pass, you won't be able to go to Cedar Point with that Gold Pass unless you have the All Parks Passport. And the All Parks Passport is about a $100 cost. It does get a little bit more expensive depending on what all you're doing. With Prestige Pass, it is more expensive than with a Gold Pass. But it's about $100 to add that on, and then you can go visit any other park that you would like to in the chain of Cedar Fair parks. Now, we are talking for Gold Pass, $145. We are talking for Prestige Pass, $350 for the pass itself. And then, of course, the added $100 for the All Parks Passport on top of that. The Silver Pass will also cost you $110. Now, if you are a Gold and Prestige Pass holder, then you can also get in for early park entry to be able to ride. So that's early ride times, ERT, that they have in the mornings for you to be able to come. Now, at Kings Island, I believe that's always a half hour extra that you get. At Cedar Point, you have an hour extra. So if you have that All Parks Passport, then that helps you out also. Now, I cannot actually find prices for parking at Kings Island on their website. I'm not sure where it is or what I've done wrong with that, and I don't usually pay to park there. But I believe parking is $35 at minimum for it. Now, sometimes if you get ahead of time and you get online and try to buy something online, sometimes you can get a pass for a little bit less than that, like $17. But $35, I would plan usually for about $35 for you to be able to park at Kings Island. Now, because of that though, if you're parking at Kings Island also, I mean, apart from taking an Uber, you're gonna have to pay that fee one way or another. So if that's $35 and you pay that twice, that's $70 in and of itself. And then on top of that, buying a ticket for $45 each time, that's $90 plus $70. You've already gotten your money's worth if you go twice to Kings Island to buy a Gold Pass, which means you might as well just buy the Gold Pass, in my opinion, if there is even a chance that you might be back. But, I mean, there are Cedar Fair parks that are all over the US. So chances are you also have another park that's near you that you also could go visit if you would want to. Being able to spend a little bit less money by just buying it all up front, I think may be worthwhile if you have the opportunity or the chance that you will be there 2 days in a row. So it is best, I think, just to buy that all up front if you have that opportunity, just to be able to get it all done with. And then you no longer have to pay, and every single time that you come in, you don't have to worry about that hassle at all to get into Kings Island. So you don't have to pay for parking, and you don't have to pay for for your initial admission into the park again. If you're not going by the Gold Pass, then I definitely think it may be worthwhile to check out the Silver Pass also, because summers would definitely be worthwhile for you, and especially at $110, I mean, you've made that up in parking if you've come 3 times. So you might as well just get that and make it a little bit easier on yourself if that is the case. The Silver Pass, I do think, is a better option for people who know they may want to come a couple of times, but they're not going to come constantly. Maybe they're just not totally sold on the Kings Island idea. What it includes. Now, we've already talked about this just a little bit. The different seasons that it includes. Of course, your Gold Pass is going to include all season long, including Halloweekends or the Haunt at Kings Island. So that's like a time when they have lots of scary people all around. It's very much Halloween. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit here. But beyond that, each time that you come, there are several different things that it includes. It includes, of course, all of the different rides that they have, including both flat rides like the Scrambler and roller coasters like the Racer or like Orion or these other massive rides. They do have several different massive rides, some that are really, really fun. Orion is 300 feet tall. It has a 300-foot drop on it. And they also have Diamondback. Diamondback is kind of the same thing. They also have the Beast. I notice a bit of a trend when it comes to Kings Island rides. There are lots of them, including Mystic Timbers also, where you get on this ride, you go around it, and you're told about this monster that's on this ride, either the Beast or aliens or whatever's in the shed or a snake, all these different things. They're all monster related. You get on the ride, you ride it, and then at the end, there's like a moment where you're supposed to go through this scary moment with the beast that you're encountering. And I do think that really all has its roots in Kings Island's like first in-house ride, which was the Beast, and that was all Beast related, obviously. So after that, they've just kind of continued that same idea with each of the rides that they've made, which is really fun. They also do have a massive kids area. Their kids area is huge in proportion to the park. If you really look at how many rides Kings Island has versus Cedar Point has for kids, Cedar Point is going to trump what Kings Island has every time, because Cedar Point has more kids areas, but it also has a much smaller area of the park dedicated to kids. Otherwise, at Kings Island, when you're there, there's like a whole half of the park. It seems like it's probably really like 3/4 of the park or something like that. But it is all devoted to kids. It's just a massive area. They have like a people mover type of a ride. It's much slower, but still a fun thing. They have all kinds of little slow moving rides the kids will always enjoy. So I definitely think that makes it really fun for kids, and it's worthwhile to go check it out. On top of kids rides and adult rides, there are also shows at Kings Island. And I do love the shows at Kings Island. There's always some really fun stuff. I really love especially their stunt shows that they have at Kings Island. Those are so much fun. They have some other main shows also that happen kind of in front of the main International Street, which is where you walk in. Definitely fun to watch those. I've seen some great percussion shows that they've had. They always have some really fun shows inside of Fest House. It's worthwhile to go check all of those out. And they also have some great food at Kings Island. So that's another thing that you'll always find that's pretty decent at Kings Island. It's maybe not always my favorite, but recently they've also come up with a few really good places that have kind of taken their food up a little notch. So I think it's worthwhile to go check it out, even if it is just for its food. I think it's definitely fun to do. They have just a couple of different bars around the area too. So if you want to go and drink your way around Kings Island, you can. Not nearly as many spots though as Cedar Point does. And that's really due to Kings Island's layout. Kings Island's layout is much smaller and much more compact. That doesn't mean it's really a smaller park. I mean, they have 15 rides this year and Cedar Point has 17 rides. So they have a lot of space where they could build on more rides. They could easily add more rides and end up trumping Cedar Point in the amount of coasters that they actually have. So if you're walking around Kings Island, you're never too far from the next spot that you want to go. So it just makes it a little bit easier to move around. And because of that, there are fewer bars because you can get to another bar pretty quickly one way or another. Also, Kings Island, I alluded to it earlier, has a water park. Soak City Water Park is definitely a fun thing to go check out, and it is worth it to hang out there. There is one ride there that I have missed every time I've gone. I've gone the last 3 years running, but every time I've forgotten about this ride, and I think it's kind of hard to find, but I can see it when I ride the train. And it's a ride that goes down the terraforming of Kings Island. So like where there's a hill, it goes down into that hill. And it's like a family raft, and I really want to ride it sometime. So this year, I'm planning on hitting that. If nothing else, I'll have to watch this video again and remember that I'm planning on hitting that because I really want to hit that just one time, just to see what it's like. I just haven't done it yet, and it would be really fun. I usually really like family raft rides, so it'd be fun to go check it out, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So this next year, definitely, I have to hit that one. But their water park is definitely fun. It's a water park. But like, I don't really know what all to say about it. And also, it's fun. It's a fun place to go. They do have a couple of different wave pools in there, and they do have a small lazy river also. And it's just a great place to go hang out and, you know, get a tan, all that kind of stuff. So definitely worthwhile to go check that one out also. Who is it for? First of all, Kings Island is for everyone. I'm just going to come straight out and say it. It really is for everyone. There's something to do no matter who you are or what kinds of capabilities you have. I will say though, obviously it's a theme park. So it does have some kind of bent toward the certain kinds of people that it kind of encourages to come. As far as coasters go, a lot of them are very much not specified or not able to ride for anyone. It's kind of my biggest gripe with theme parks or amusement parks in general. I don't like it that they aren't for everybody. Of course, there are certain things that you have to have, certain requirements you have to meet in order for a coaster to be safe for you. But that's kind of where I'd love to see more opportunities, both in live entertainment and in also just like family attractions that you can do as someone who is differently abled or as someone who maybe is smaller, taller, just whatever the situation is that you may be under. I'd love to see some other opportunities for other rides of that kind of nature. That just gives you a variety, so everyone has something more to do. Now, I will say Kings Island does have a dark ride that's really fun. I love they have a little shooting attraction that's definitely fun, and you just like shoot the vampires or things like that are inside of this little haunted house that they have. So that's a really fun ride, and I do like it that they have that kind of thing. A lot of their kids attractions can be pretty inclusive, and they do have a couple of like more spinny attractions also that are pretty inclusive for adults of any kind. And then of course you have, like I said, the large kids area. So lots of stuff for kids to do there. Of course, lots to do in the water park. And then any shows that they have are always obviously inclusive for any single person to go visit. So I love that about Kings Island also, that they have multiple places where you can go see some shows, you can go grab a beer, you can grab some food, you can watch a show, you can hang out together as a full family. I love that. It's definitely fun. No matter who is in your group, they're going to have some fun with those things. Like I said, Kings Island does kind of have a bit of a bent, but it's kind of to be expected a little bit with amusement parks. Like I said, something I think they could definitely work on. Why you will like it. Obviously, you will go to Kings Island and you will like it, right? No, I'm sure it's not for everyone, but I do think that Kings Island is a great place to go visit for multiple reasons. Throughout the year, they have many different events. Like I've said, they have their Halloweekends event, but then they also have a winter event that's like a winter wonderland all the way around. The whole place is decorated. It's beautiful. It's the same thing with Halloweekends too. The whole place is decorated. It's beautiful. It is a fun place to go visit, no matter when you go or what you are doing while you're there. Between the entertainment shows that they have and between the different rides that they have, it's definitely worthwhile to go visit. It is more of a thrill seeker park though. If you are someone who loves thrills, then you'll definitely enjoy coming to Kings Island. If you're someone who doesn't enjoy thrills as much, there may be a little bit less for you, but there's also still quite a bit as far as their flat rides go and as far as their special event like shows go. It's definitely worthwhile to go visit. There's less to do around Kings Island. There's no beach to go to. There's nothing to do right after it closes. You just have to leave and go to your hotel. But that's kind of the difference for me between Kings Island and Cedar Point. Is Cedar Point is a lingering park. Once you leave, you want to just linger and stay, or at least I do anyway, and go hang out on the beach and do all that kind of stuff. But if you are at Kings Island, there's a little bit less to do immediately after the park closes. It's just go to sleep and wait for the next day to arrive so that you can come back again. But there is still a ton to do for all members of the family. If you are a family, also, this is a great place to go visit. They have some of the best kids rides I've ever seen. Between several, I think now this year they're going to have 4 coasters for kids. So if you're wanting to raise some little thrill seekers, bring them, because this is the place where they're going to learn to enjoy coasters with just a couple of graduating steps that they can take to get into those family coasters and then get into larger coasters like Orion and like Banshee that do a little bit more intense things. So it's definitely fun to go do that also. It's a great place though to visit, and it's a place I've been coming to since I was in 7th grade. So it's very much a fun place and a place that's close to my heart. When should you go? So now that I've convinced you that obviously you want to go to Kings Island, right? Yeah, now let's talk about when you should go. If you're wanting to go to Kings Island, you need to look at a couple of different dates, and there's possibilities of things that will change what you're able to do throughout the year. I already mentioned the Halloween stuff, and I also mentioned the Winterfest stuff, the holiday celebration that they have. So those two things definitely have a big bearing in what you can do. And then of course there's also weather that plays a big part in Kings Island also. Kings Island is busiest toward the end of the year, especially during Halloween. I find that Halloween is incredibly popular. There's a reason why every single theme park has their Halloween events and does scary things and haunted houses and stuff like that, because it sells. People want to go to it. So you have Universal with Horror Nights. You have Kings Island and Cedar Fair Parks with their Halloween stuff, and you also have Six Flags with their Halloween stuff. I think even Holiday World, they all have their Halloween stuff because that's a big deal. It's something that draws in crowds, and yes, crowds do definitely come for that. However, I will say when it comes to the busyness of the park overall, Kings Island is always kind of a step under what Cedar Point is. Cedar Point will have much longer lines, they'll have much longer waits for everything, from food to rides to everything. You'll be in a lot more times with a ton of crowds at Cedar Point than you will at Kings Island. But that doesn't mean Kings Island doesn't get busy, and it doesn't mean you won't wait terrible amounts of time for rides at Kings Island. The beginning of the year, I would say, is always a little bit easier at Kings Island than the end of the year as far as crowds go. You're gonna have fewer people walking around at the very beginning. Now, apart from usually opening day, if you're there on opening weekend, a lot of people, especially people who really love Kings Island, have planned their day to come on opening day. But usually you get fewer of the general public there. General public really starts to hit hard once school comes out, so during the hottest months. So you got to be prepared around late June, early July for some massive crowds. And then they come back a little bit down to earth once school gets back into session. Of course, because people are gone, kids are out of school, they can go whenever they want, and families can leave on their vacations whenever they want. I do find even with that, even during the summers, the weekdays are always less popular, obviously, than the weekends are. Most people do have to work during the weekdays, whether it's summer or not. So it really doesn't make much of a difference. That's just usually what the case is. So if it's at all possible, plan your trip to come to Kings Island around the weekdays, especially the middle of the week. If you can come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are your best bet. As far as people, taking vacation, because it's a lot easier to lump your vacation into a weekend and have a little bit more time that way. So you have more people on weekends and then surrounding the weekend on Monday and on Friday. So anyway, it's definitely fun to be able to go to Kings Island. I love that place. And it's definitely worthwhile to go visit. What do you guys think? Would you like to go visit? And are you planning your trip for this year? Please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. Also, let me know what your favorite ride at Kings Island is, or if you haven't gone yet, let me know if you plan to make a trip. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. Thank you guys so much for talking today, and I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Please press that subscribe button if it was. If you made it to this point, you liked something, so press that like button too. And thank you guys so much for hanging out, and let's go. Hey, thanks for watching. I release theme park related videos at least a couple times a week, so press that subscribe button if you made it this far. Also, check out similar videos in the playlist to the right or find my newest video to the left. Thanks again, and let's go!